All right, so I've got a question for you, kind of a mindset thing. Are homesteaders default preppers, right? And I've sort of talked about this a little bit before. You know, I'm a prepper if I'm going to be labeled, but I really have some homestead roots. We bought that property, and eventually we want to be full-time homesteaders, right? So this is something I think about quite a bit. We've done some articles about this before, you know, prep steading, you know, where we combine the two. Somebody else coined that. I thought it was brilliant. So let's talk about our homesteaders preppers, right? Now to do that, let's get a common frame of reference. I've got some definitions. I went to Wikipedia. Used to tell my college kids they couldn't use Wikipedia for a primary source, but since it covers both definitions, relatively unbiased, I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I'm reading. You know, the wife's holding it up so I can don't have to memorize. But according to Wikipedia, preppers are individuals actively preparing for emergencies, including possible disruptions in societal or political order, on scales from local to international. Also, survivalists. Survivalists also acquire emergency medical and self-defense training, stockpile food and water, prepare to become self-sufficient, build structures such as survival retreats, underground shelters that may help them survive a catastrophe. Right? So if you're preparing for what if, prepper. Okay? Now, homesteaders. Same definition, Wikipedia. A homesteader is a lifestyle lives a lifestyle of self-sufficiency. It is characterized by subsistence agriculture, home preservation of foodstuffs, and may or may not also involve small-scale production of textiles, clothing, and craftwork for either homestead use or sale. Right? So if you live it every day, homesteader. If you live just in case, prepper. And it seems to me that if you're the type of prepper that wants a bug-out location or has a bug-out location, someplace you can leave, go to, and then live in subsistence agriculture, then that is probably a homestead, right? Whether you're a homesteader, whether you're a prepper, they all sort of have the same things in common. Independence, interest in personal responsibility, and self-sufficiency, right? Almost every prepper stores food. Almost all homesteader stores food, right? The reasons for storing the food may be different, okay? So let's think about doctors, right? So you got two guys. They want to be doctors. One wants to be a doctor because he grew up watching MacGyver and he wants to help people. The other one became a doctor because he grew up watching The Cosby Show and he wants to live in the nice brownstone, right? Does it matter the reasons, right, that they become a doctor? As long as they do the work to become a doctor and they're both competent, right? So I don't really care about labels much, but it does help us have a conversation, right, if we understand the terms that we use, right? Some of my reasons why I like homesteading, right, is because it gets me the opportunity to increase my personal independence, right? It lets me learn how to and be able to provide my own essential supplies, right? It lets me have self-determination, lets me determine what I should do every day, how my life's going to live, right? If I'm producing my own things, then I don't have to worry about the boss, right, telling me what I'm going to do today. I get to say, today I have to fix the fence, I have to go milk the goats, I have to freaking butcher a chicken. What am I going to do first? What am I going to put off till tomorrow? You know, what do I have to do to get things done? Lets me determine that, and I really like that, right? Now, if you're a prepper first, right, it's really easy to start looking in homestead circles. That's sort of what we do on my website, is go out the internet, books, other people, pull information up that we don't think is common, right, or that's nice to know, and bring it out and make it accessible, right? So I like homesteading because homesteaders have solved many, many, many of the problems that preppers have to deal with. You know, you want to know how to live without power? Look at homesteading. People have been homesteading, agriculture, small scale, since before recorded history, right? The Romans had colonies of rabbits in hutches that was, you know, you reach in there and you get a rabbit out, right? All this stuff has already been done before, and a lot of it's already been published. My library upstairs has got, 1,500, 2,000 books on homesteading, because I find almost anything that I'm interested in as far as prepping goes, I can find a homestead book, right? Because some poor farmers already did it, right? So that's good. Okay. Now, one of the biggest things that you can think of between preppers and homesteaders is the difference in attitude. Doing the same things, maybe doing them for different reasons, right? Preppers take precautions on what may happen in the future. Homesteaders are doing those same things because it's what they need to do today. They're not storing food for Y2K or a time, like I like to say, time when you can't go to the grocery store. They're storing food for the winter, right? So preppers can learn a lot from homesteaders how to do these things, because it's a lot more real to a homesteader, because if they don't store food today, they know in 3 months they're not going to have food, right? So you can learn a lot of technical skills from homesteaders. Homesteaders, on the other hand, can learn something from preppers, because there's such a thing as normalcy bias. If something's normal to you, you don't really think that, changes, this isn't happening, kind of like denial, right? And we'll talk about that in the article. I'm not going to get into it on video. But preppers are able to deal with disasters a lot quicker because they don't have to deal with the normalcy bias. They have already recognized that stuff can happen. The end of the world as we know it. Probably a better term would be the change in the world as we know it, right? So since preppers already have recognized that there can be problems, when problems occur, they're already in first. They don't have to kick it out of park or kick it out of neutral, right? They can just start going down the road. They don't have to worry about, should I get gas? They just go get gas, right? So I think homesteaders can learn a lot from preppers, because, they can maybe get too confused with what they're doing today, right? So one way or the other, I think both of them are positive. I think one can learn from the other. I think we can all learn from each other. I think that's a good thing about YouTube, So let's just keep sharing. And it doesn't really matter how you self-identify, as long as you're able to take care of you and yours. So I hope this was useful. And until next time, you catch us online, www.teamgun.com.